There's a huge difference between you and most of the large artists out there that nobody's talking about. If you're able to make it to the end of this video, I'm going to provide you with a tool that's going to allow you to automate the process of sounding like these superstar artists. I'm mainly making this video to highlight the mastering process and some of the misconceptions that I had even 7 years into music, then finally realizing how important mastering was. Of course, most beginners in music and everyday people understand the fact that a song needs to be mixed to sound relatively good. And when you hear the words mixing or production, you envision a huge fancy studio with the fancy yet confusing mixing boards that you see in old school studios. But there's another part of the process that even seasoned artists don't really think about, and that is the concept of mastering. Please consider dropping a like. That just helps us get this to artists that might need this information, and it might even change their entire life. So I appreciate if you could do that. First, I think it's important to understand the origins of mastering, to understand what makes it so different from the traditional mixing process. Oddly enough, mastering was actually discovered back when engineers began transferring tapes to vinyl. And essentially the point was to take the audio from a tape and make it at least a reasonable quality on a vinyl player without the needle skipping or just sounding like complete garbage. And this is where mastering became a necessity when it came to the distribution of tracks. Following that, in 1954, the concept of EQ for audio was created, and it became a huge staple in the post-production of audio tracks, whether involving music, television, etc. Engineers began using EQ as a corrective process, which ensured the balance of frequencies with the entirety of the work, making the audio more reliable on any listening device. And this is what we began to refer to as modern mastering. And then lastly, in 1968, Sterling Sound finally found a way for transfer engineers, quote unquote, to completely alter the dynamics of the stereo width, the frequency balance, and so forth. And this is where mastering engineer became a true viable job within the ecosystem. So what has modern mastering evolved to? Well, personally, I would say it's one of the most important factors on the success or the failure of your song. Simply put, there truly is a gigantic gap between you and the artists that you listen to on the radio on a daily basis. Isotope best describes mastering as the final stage of audio production, the process of putting the finishing touches on a song by enhancing the overall sound, creating consistency across the album, and preparing it for distribution. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that a single doesn't require mastering. It's just that if you listen to an album, the first song is probably mastered very similar to the final song. And this just enhances the listener experience, making it one cohesive art piece that they listen to. So now, what is the difference between mixing and mastering? Well, mixing focuses on each track separately, from each drum kick to guitar loop to vocal. Each sound is individually and intentionally mixed to sound good on its own, and also balanced to sound good when it's played with the other parts of the track. On the contrary, mastering deals with the entire track as one cohesive sound. Think of mixing as watching a movie on your TV versus watching it in a movie theater. In the movie theater, you have a bone-chilling, immersive experience that's going to allow you to probably never forget that movie. And if you go home and watch the same movie, it just won't have that same effect that it did before. Understand that immersive sound sparks an emotion. And this is why if you have unmastered music, people are relatively uninterested in it. It takes a rare person to like music that is not mastered, and you can say, well, I love music that's not mastered or high quality, but the odds are your favorite song isn't an unmastered track. We can even imagine that painting a car happens in the post-production. You already have your doors, your tires, and everything like that, right? Well, of course, wouldn't you want it to be your favorite color? Well, that's what would get you to buy it. That's very relative to the mastering process. And all this information is great, right? But you can't just go hop on your music software and start mastering. This takes years to perfect and master. We created master chains for artists to enjoy and to get the sound of their favorite radio-ready artists that they hear on a regular basis. I want to show you guys some before and afters, and if you're interested in these, use my first link below to check them out.
It's not my fault, I suppose. And I hit your phone. It's probably why I'm still alone. Stick to my mind like you're threatening to blow. When it's said and done, I'll be nowadays I'm not enough. I just wanna face. Nowadays I'm not enough.
As you can see, the experience is a lot different from before to after. And if you guys are interested in this pack, it's called Master Sauce, and you can use my code Joey at checkout for 30% off. Instead of paying a mastering engineer hundreds of dollars, you can be doing this yourself with just a drag and drop. So I highly suggest trying it out. You can literally skip Chipotle today and have a radio ready sound for the rest of your life. So what are you waiting for? Hopefully after this video, you have a better idea of what mastering is and the true importance of it and why you need to implement it into your music. And if you like video styles like this, I post 5 times a week, so please subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.